industry. What can we do? And what I felt very strong about, because I am at this point of my life a senior in the jewelry industry, a veteran, I felt the responsibility together with Vicenza Oro and other organizations to be here, like you said, and being present and be visible, all of us, setting, I don't want to say the example, but taking a leadership together to do something. So I hope that this is the beginning not only of a wonderful conversation where we're going to see that one of the key words is going, and then maybe we'll comment a little bit more after, okay? So let me go into my presentation. Hoping that I'm able to do it. Okay. Well, so I wanted to start basically with a video because I think a video is the most emotional, thing that we can do. And as Vicenza Oro, but also the style that we believe is all about luxury, is about emotions and experience. So I am very proud to say that, we are the first independent observatory, and by observatory of the jewelry industry, I mean, we believe that luxury is very much tied with culture. And culture is not just about museums, it's also museum and art, but also understanding society changes and shifting. So forecasting, which is very often not really, sometimes trends, people associate the concept of trends associated to a pair of earrings, to a shape and a silhouette, which is definitely very relevant. But what we have started, almost over a decade ago, is really helping, our, stakeholders, our exhibitors, our partners, in really having a methodology. And the methodology of forecasting is really research, collecting data, analyzing, and hopefully come up with strategies. And strategies leads to products, and product leads to hopefully business and sales. So forecasting is the use of historical data to determine the direction of future trends, which is not, and this is the word that I like to underline, we are not predicting, we are projecting, which is different. So we are analysts rather than astrologists. We are not astrologists. And of course, as an analyst, we could not have predicted a pandemic event, but we could have, definitely we have definitely consider one of the latest project that we have done was cracks, how in time of crisis, good things happen. And it is from time of crisis that actually humanity, and there are great evolution in society. So forecasting is used by companies to determine how to allocate the budget and for the upcoming segment of time. That could be months or years, mapping business objective and practices. Trend forecasting is essential knowledge for any companies for planning with methodology and system, a business strategy, a collection mapping, a production cycle, entering geographic market, and so on, for the positioning or repositioning of a brand, of a designer, or a professional. So basically today, we all have to reposition ourselves, me as a professional, a show, a company, and so on. In this incredible scenario, what we have learned, and I like to phrase back to Marco when he talked about acceleration, and we'll see that later on, the paradox of acceleration is bringing an interesting phenomenon, which is what we call slow acceleration. And by slow acceleration, it is a new way of viewing life, which is that the acceleration of digitization is really brought in a new mode of living, from the smart working or to reevaluating lifestyle, families, also to the spending, many other aspects, and also the environment, the planet, also going from a concept of, Marco was talking about value and quality versus volume. And so it's already happening in fashion. The world of fashion is talking about slowing down production in terms of quantity and doing slow design. And so focusing on smaller and better collections because of all the repercussions that having fast production, fast design has brought not only to the planet, but is not also being ethical and responsible. So I just wanted to do like a very simple overview. This is what we call a demographic map, which you will find in our next report, which is going to be out in September, but starting in June. Actually, starting in May, we're going to have our first online webinar for strategy. And the second one is going to be in June, where we're going to do preview on season 2022. And the preview, it's really associated to understanding the scenario of the demographic and what is the psychographic. Now, as you can see here, we are going from what we call silent generation, and we are working with, of course, marketeers, classification, boomers, Gen X, millennial, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha. So going to the extreme, to the 75 to 92, up to the Alpha, which make the Gen Z and the millennials almost middle-aged. So the millennials, that they are like, they are basically 23 to 39, they are middle-aged compared to Gen Z. So this is an interesting scenario because these people, their values are very different already from millennial to Gen Z. So why am I starting with this chart and not jewelry? Because we are producing jewelry for people and for the market, for the population, and whatever cultural shifting it's happening like now, unless we don't understand the new needs, we will not be able to succeed. Now, like Marco was saying, the fact that in the next month to maybe like most of the 2020, traveling will be restricted, and maybe we will have less, we will have more money to spend, even though business right now is tough and challenging. Let's not hide that. And this is the reason why now more than ever, being strategic will be crucial for the success of any business. And by strategic is not about just planning production, but being omni-channel. The way we will be producing, communicating, and selling product. Because if we will create good product, but will not be able to communicate product and distribute the product and have a direct conversation with our clients, either they are retailers or they are final consumers or both, we're gonna miss out. So what are, I'm gonna basically, I did kind of the highlight of the most interesting thing that came out in the acceleration that Marco was mentioning, emotional technology. What is emotional technology compared to what it was before? Well, this is a live event. A live event, it's an innovation. Now, more than ever, being live, it's never been so successful. And the reason why live is better than a video is because it's unpolished. And the fact that it's unpolished and people is not, that they don't have props. And we can, it's like I am here at this time, at this moment, and I'm making a change, or at least I'm living the present. And the fact that we are facing, critical time in history with the loss of thousands of people, being alive and being live is relevant. we don't take it for granted. So being live, it's important. So emotional tech will be more and more. Right now, we never saw like now the live Instagram meetings at a certain time, people talking, exchanging. Right now, there is kind of a booming of all these kind of events. In time, we foresee kind of some of these, fading out, and only very good content will stay. But this is a very interesting way of viewing this time in history. Let me see if my computer is moving forward. Yes. Purpose, purposeful living. Now, in this point of time, and I don't want to get too emotional here, but like the purpose, like a life purpose is very important. People being locked down for over like 2 months, even though we're going to be like in Italy, we're going to enter phase 2, which is like after lockdown and China, but it's kind of a progressive, phase 2. It's not like that we're going to be. So people is more aware of what's going to be next. Is it my life meaningful? Do I like myself? Do I like my life? So this is going to give an all different approach to our own life, but also the way we are going to be attracted to luxury. Because now luxury, it is jewelry, but could be also gardening. Uh, Digital experiences, it's pretty much related to the emotional technology, but now digital, it is the analogic and digital, it is being often online. How can we merge these two things together? Now, I know that there are wonderful designers, wonderful brands, wonderful companies, shows that they are great offline, but they never really, venture out online. And how can we develop this emotional relationship off and online with consumers, and how we can develop a new an identity that is authentic, which is, we're going to see, meaning real, sincere, not fake, and give emotion to people. That is going to be a big challenge, but I think it's also exciting because I see events doing done online. I can see cocktails and trunk shows done online with jewelers and consumers learning about the collection directly from the designer and having cocktails and trying things on. And I'm sure that going forward, augmented realities and application showing how jewelry will be on you, like they're doing with makeup. Companies like, for instance, Benefit is a makeup company that, for specialize in eyebrow. You can basically scan your face through your phone, and you can show your brows and in different type of shapes, and basically design the one that you like the most. Same with hairstyles. There are like some companies that they're selling certain color, and you can try yourself. Same will be happening with jewelry. So I challenge jewelers and designers to get, basically into this app, augmented reality, so people can buy jewelry also off the web. Now, of course, I know that the question is, well, but don't we really want to touch jewelry? Don't we really want to feel them and try it on? Of course we do. But at the same time, let's not exclude the possibility that consumer wants to try things on in the comfort of their home without any judgment and without any limitations. So trying something on and maybe going then in a store after you already studied something will be very important. But I also would say the younger generations, younger demographic, they will purchase and they don't honestly need to touch things because they're natives and they like it. So again, authenticity, being authentic, meaning real, like we are now, with all the mistakes and the fragility that becomes the beauty of an individual, a company, and a brand. Inclusivity, we mentioned before, inclusivity, the new luxury, it is inclusive. And by inclusive, it means that it is empathic, it's about listening, it's about learning, and it's not about necessarily, it's about feeling special and also limited. Limited edition could be, not necessarily something has to be extremely expensive, even though valuable and rare craftsmanship is desired and required. And clients, customers today, they are willing to pay a little extra for something extremely good, maybe one or two less pieces, but better. Siloless vision. I mentioned this concept, and this is part of also, we're going to explore this more going forward in our next book, is like having a open mentality, a new way of really broadening your perspective. And again, when I was mentioning the beauty sector in the jewelry sector, let's not hear the line, I've always done like that, it always worked, and I'll keep doing it for generations to go. It's a new time in history. We are witnessing a great disruption in history. We must change in a different way. That doesn't mean we have to cancel our heritage and not look at our past, but we have to have a siloless mentality. Local pride would be important, is already happening, meaning that the economies are suffering, and countries and local economies are like struggling. So people will also be responsible and feel responsible for helping local community. So they will, not for everything, but they will take care, they will try to help local designers, local companies. So of course, we are all attracted from, exotic and far away, a wonderful design and designers and foods and so on. But there will be a special attention to this local pride. Conscious spending will be very conscious, because the economy is going to be tough. And honestly, after the Second World War, I never saw and I never witnessed myself as Generation X at such a time in history, such a struggle. So I think that from my generation, which we've been spoiled so far, to the young generation, will be very concerned about their spending. Again, it's not that they will not spend, but they will be very conscious. And last but not least is what we call slow acceleration. And by slow acceleration, it is a different way of thinking as a reaction. So it's kind of a paradox. The acceleration of all these changes, social changes and environmental shifting, is bringing a slow acceleration mode, in terms of value. So as you can see, I just show like, a little mood board, just like a little taste of what's going to happen, in June, and what we do as trends. This is acceleration showing some, concept of what's happening in fashion, in jewelry, and we are going to show more of this kind of work. We also hope to help companies to find a methodology, and we have like kind of an e-learning experience online. So anyway, I'm just announcing that on Monday, May 11, 2020, we'll have a session on, what is forecasting, basically introduction forecasting methodology for companies. So basically we'll help company to apply in reality. So we'll show and share like some template and format that companies can use in order to map their upcoming seasons, and everybody can join. I mean, it can be designers, manufacturers, buyers, department stores, whoever. And then the second is going to be Monday, June 8th, preview season 2022, an overview of macro themes, exploring consumer sentiment, the needs for, basically the new needs for jewelry and luxury sector. We'll do a little bit of it, just kind of, we touch base on product direction, silhouettes, color, and so on. So I end my presentation with this, and I hope that, I didn't bore anybody. But I thought that, we felt responsible as Transvision and YAG to really say, we're here, but most important, we are here to listen, all of you, and I welcome anybody to send their inquiries, and we're going to have think tanks, and we want to help, and we want to grow together.
Thanks so much, Paola. That was really fantastic. And I just want to ask you a couple of follow-up questions before we open up to Q&A. You talk about blending emotion with technology. Could you elaborate a little bit more about that? Because a lot of people think of technology as very cold. And a lot of jewelers, retail jewelers, say it's important that customers handle a piece of jewelry before they buy it. So how do you think we can develop the relationship between emotion and technology going forward?
That's a good point. Well, I think that there are, okay, the first element that I think is very emotional is the live. The live event are very emotional. Like, I think this is emotional. By emotion, I don't mean crying or something. It's like receiving some kind of emotions, either they are positive or negative, either you're learning or you're excited, you're fun. So it's not a video. You know, videos are set. I mean, they are predictable versus thesis can be unpredictable. I mean, the first webinar that I've done, the technology crashed, you know, and can crash today too. And something can happen. Or my cat, right now I'm in quarantine, so my cat important. Now, how can we translate this information, this, let's say, this approach to business? Well, I encourage designers, brand companies, shows to kind of create live event involving our customers, our clients to join and create really live event that could be from showing a collection, explaining how it's done, visiting my factory, showing our city, and having kind of the famous line storytelling. But what does it mean, storytelling? What's behind the scene? So it is true that it's very complicated and challenging. I must admit, I'm struggling myself. I mean, I am a communicator, you know, but the truth of the matter is, I'm not a native of technology. So using social platform and technology in different ways and becoming omni-channel, it's challenging. We have to create an identity. What does it mean, an identity? How do we look? I'm not a model. I actually, what do you think about my hair? You know, I've done it by myself. You know, hairdresser are gone. We don't have hairdressers. You know what I mean? It's like, so this is kind of emotional. You know, it's like being real, being entertaining by telling the truth. So you can do that by showing your collection, by showing your workers, your bench people, talking about the behind the scene. When people feel engaged, people want to be part of it, and their emotion gets involved. And we can translate this concept in whatever we want to do. I mean, the sky is the limit. And that's what I find, that despite of the situation, I think this is an exciting time in history.
Thanks for that. I get the point about the haircut. I had a lockdown haircut yesterday. So,
I saw you.
My second question before we go into the Q&A, Paola, is can you give us a few teasers about the coming jewellery design trends, you know, during and beyond the lockdown, heading out towards 2022? A few ideas as to what's coming.
Well, definitely is like, for sure. I mean, we talked about slow acceleration is not just a theme, but is an approach. And by slow acceleration, we mean that we're going to have maybe smaller collections, but better quality and better design. So I see from, I mean, we are collecting thousands of images and collection from designers as we speak from all over the world. And we see, like, you know, from what we call opti-minimal design, meaning an evolution of minimalism in this, which is optimized by, you know, less is more, with linear and kind of evolution of postmodern design slash geometric, but it's a little bit, it's like very simple line collectible pieces, always most of the time, you know, mismatching, meaning that collection now are not sold by set, but by item, like in the fashion industry. People pick and choose their own items. So the old way of when we talked about Siloless, even the way we have to conceive a collection has to be siloless, meaning that you create products that they can be styled and purchased by the consumer based on their own personal taste, and should be gender fluid as well, because millennials as well, Gen Z, they wear a lot of jewelry, men and women, and it's the whole thing changed. So we are seeing that already as well. We are looking at an holistic approach to life, which is bringing more and more this spiritual flavor to jewelry, for instance, crystals and healing gemstones and rough materials and minerals, and everything is nature that is encrusted by time passing by, on inclusion. What was once an imperfection now is precious. And so that's very important. And then I can go on for hours, and I don't want to bore anybody with it now.
Okay, so let's go into the Q&A. So I can see the questions on my screen here.
Yes.
Somebody called Anonymous Attendee. Well, welcome, Anonymous Attendee. So that
Yeah.
he asks, will shows become digital? So will trade fairs become digital? So I've got to ask Marco this one. And what do you say to that?
Well, this has been a question for at least the last 5-10 years, because at least in the in the last years, many shows have been or many businesses has been trying to replace a physical show to virtual shows. I don't think there's a right answer. Definitely, the way we think is going to be successful is again the omni-channel approach. So having physical shows, but during the year, the engagement to with clients, with exhibitors and visitors has to be done on the web. I don't see only virtual shows, and I mean there has been a lot of trials in the past, but I see definitely shows improving the ways that the exhibitors can also can engage more and more the buyers and the exhibitors with online new tools. And I mean we just seen another show, Watch and Wonders, presenting a couple of days ago the news for watches, and this is definitely a new approach. But this is this going to be the only approach to consumers and to professionals and to operators? I don't think so. At the end, you need a certain point to connect the community in a physical place, to have a glass of wine, or just a big hug that we miss so much in this period. And looking at the eyes of your supplier, at the eyes of your consumers, having this kind of physical relationship is going to be still important in the future. So I think the answer is still omni-channel, and shows has to work a lot to improve the web experience, but also consumers and brands, producers, has to um, get more get more used to use these new tools. Many of no, some of my clients they still don't have videos or pictures to share with us in a way we can share all these contents to the visitors. So this pandemic will certainly accelerate all these dynamics, and we definitely will see more omni-channel shows in the future, and hopefully they will be even more successful than now.
Thanks,
Oh,
Marco. I just saw a question actually from Mario just pop up on the screen. Is Vicenza Oro going to happen in September? Can you answer that one, Marco?
This is another interesting question. At the moment, the show is confirmed. There are no facts or regulations that are stopping this show. Of course, we look in daily and weekly what is happening to our borders, to the airlines, to the the spread of the virus. But now, as fair, we have also the responsibility to force the restart of the overall system of the overall industry. We are engines of the industry, so we need to stay positive and to try to relaunch everything. So we'll monitor the situation, and in the I think in between 4 and 8 weeks from now we'll have a final say about the show.
Paola, were you looking to say something earlier?
Yeah, I wanted to just like expand a little bit more on Marco's and the question of shows. I think that even though, yes, we are omni-channel and we are going to communicate more online, but the human touch, which we've been discussing for a while in the industry, but not only, it's about, being together. It's like the reason why we are, in the industry for such a long time, because we know each other for many, many years, meeting all over the world at shows. And it's not just being there, it's the experience that you live there and going to the party together, looking at the collection for the first time all together, seeing how, someone. But also what's happening is like the show themselves, they're not just the booth, but everything is around the shows. So the show is the content, the seminars and talks, it's people coming, it's the experience of seeing people, the way they're dressed, the fashion. We are in the luxury industry. I mean, it's like, and honestly, I have to say that more and more shows, like, of course, I have to say in Italy, they are into the La Dolce Vita. What is the Dolce Vita? Is the overall vision of living a certain lifestyle. I mean, if you're now walking in a wonderful square, dressed in a certain way, you don't need jewelry, honestly, or you don't need, it's like having a cocktail, so more and more like il Salone del Mobile in Milano created the off for il Fuori Salone, which is like the Milano off, the shows during the design week. And Vicenza did the same, but also Paris is doing it, and more. So it's like, and more shows will become more, let's say, siloless. Maybe in time we will have more, which we have done already at Vicenza, but to have the fashion and design, and we try to give the experience of food, because luxury, it is multi-sensorial. It's not only omni-channel, but omni-senses. And maybe in time, we will also smell from a computer. Maybe there is some kind of app that by having a certain scent, they can be, I don't know. I mean, I can't predict this, but at the end of the day, we need both. So we need the experience, and we need to live the experience throughout the year through digital events that they remind you and echo the physical, wonderful experience. That's it. Sorry, but that's very important.
So, question for Paola. This question is from Paridi Patodia, who I'm guessing is from India. I know we've got lots of attendees from India today, so special welcome to them. Great jewelry nation is India. Paridi is asking, do you think now is the right time for up-and-coming designers to start their own jewelry business?
Yes. So welcome to all my Indian friends, because I'm half Indian myself by now. I'm always in India. I mean, besides now that there is the quarantine and I can't travel, I was supposed to be in Jaipur, basically now. Well, I believe that, when you have something good to say, meaning that as a designer, as an artist, you can say always, there is no bad time if you're strong, but now is an exceptional time. This is the time where, because of this kind of acceleration of the digital world, especially young designers, that they have the let's say the system better than everybody else. I mean, that's the time to excel. And that's the time maybe where you can do your own design and by yourself, or maybe you can partner with a manufacturer, a company, a retailer, creating your own collection and maybe joining with them where all the technical aspects will be done and solved by them. And you can just work on design, vision, communication, and selling online, meaning promoting it and creating some kind of beautiful, like, website with great content. So this is it. I think not only I advise designers to do it and to do it well, but maybe you could also investigate partnership. I really, I suggest partnership everywhere in the world, by the designers, by the experience, what I call the experience maker. I mean, the experience makers are people that they're able to communicate through images, through content, through editorial stories, through photography, through design. And some people, they're just makers. And there is nothing wrong, because we need wonderful makers that they are focusing. The other day, I think yesterday, I was attending a webinar in India, Mindspeak, and basically, and they were talking about these kind of things. It was someone, I don't remember who was talking, was saying, but we are so focused in creating beautiful goods, and we have so many incredible craftsmen that we don't have time in creating content to promote these things. So maybe that's when we have to merge forces and work together.
Paola, we've got a question from Ash Alibai, and we both know extremely well in London.
Yes, ciao, Ash.
Ash is asking, do you think now is the time for greater cross-collaboration between the jewellery and the fashion industries?
Yeah, of course. I think Ash and everybody else that wants this question, I think it's, fashion and jewelry is always been there has always been a love affair, from Coco Chanel. I mean, it's like the most iconic designer. Even like Lydia Cortei was doing wonderful things for Mr. Karl Lagerfeld. But just to mention a few, I think that, yes, but not necessarily. I want to say the truth. I think that jewelry can have their own kind of route, direction parallel to fashion. I think that fashion is not just clothing. Fashion is the way we dress, the way we express ourselves, which includes clothing, jewelry, accessories, the font, technology. So fashion, it is the way we project our image. It's not just a jacket or a pair of trousers, but fashion, it is the style in which you translate and express your own self.
My screen keeps jumping around. We're getting so many questions pouring in, but there was a question from a listener wanting to know, will the expected severe global economic downturn trigger increased appetite for lab-grown diamonds, which obviously are priced at a discount to natural diamonds? Or are we going to see a new era, Paola, for lab-grown diamond jewelry?
Honestly, I've been attending, as you know, diligently, all these webinars on diamonds, lab-grown, natural diamond, and I don't have a side, meaning that, but not because I want to be like politically correct, because authentically, I feel that there are two different worlds. I think that people will always be attracted from natural diamonds, also because sooner or later we'll run out of diamonds, natural diamonds. And so they will become more precious. But I also think the lab-grown diamonds are, let's call it desirable for different reasons. For like maybe their cuts, because of their prices, the way maybe they can be promoted. I don't think, and this is something that I really want to say, when they're saying that lab-grown diamonds are more ethical and less invasive than natural diamonds. I think this is a wrong sentence that I don't want to hear, and I want to say that I want to speak up about this. I'm an activist in this direction, meaning that natural diamonds and mining, the miners are, because I've been working with miners myself, from Rio Tinto to Alrosa Diamonds, they are so concerned about the communities, about the environment. They study the areas in which they go there with geologists, with everybody. They are worried and concerned about the animals living there. They're creating schools, hospitals, housing, anything program for people that would be completely forgotten in areas that no one would go there. So if we would not have the miners creating, the Argyle mines when there, or in Yakutia, or in Botswana, nothing. Now, of course, we had in the past very bad time, like blood diamonds, all this environment, which was terrible, and it is terrible. And even today, there are areas where like children are working, but at the same time, I am privileged because I travel a lot. And when I ask people, well, in Islam, okay, in India, they say, what about if you don't produce a pair of Nike or you don't produce this particular ring? And they're saying, well, because children, they're working at 8 or 10. And you know what they answer me? You know what? If they didn't have to create this sneaker, they didn't have any money even to eat. So before we, from a comfortable, westernized room, we are judging who to help or not to help, we should think about it. And before the lab-grown diamonds, which most of the time these people, they are coming from natural diamonds industry, they should say, you know what? We are beautiful diamonds and we are creating something new that will be used and will be successful as long the clients have clear ideas of what is what. We keep it separate. We are very clear. We are not fighting. We're friends. And then everybody will be happy. That's what I think.
So, Paola, we've got a question from our esteemed colleague, Carlo Pignataro, who's asking, do you foresee a burst of revenge shopping as the lockdown eases?
Ciao, Carlo. Where are you in Ireland?
High value jewelry as well.
Yes, ciao, Carlo. Well, Carlo is a brilliant professional and former colleague and forever friend. Well, Carlo, yeah, of course. I mean, it's like, listen, I've done my first webinar on Jewellery Outlook was about revenge shopping. I believe that after 2 months or even 8, whatever time we're going to be home, what I've noticed myself is that at the beginning, I was very austere. I was like, oh my God, money are not coming in, clients are not paying, we are like broke, I don't know. I mean, it's like, but all of a sudden, there is such a with desire for living, then I feel like treating myself to feel alive. And so I'm just a person, and I can see that my friend, I know friends that they have online businesses that they are doing, the clicks are coming in for jewelry, for luxury. I mean, we saw China with their mass shops like 2 weeks ago. They opened the first in Beijing, correct? Or Shanghai? Was it Shanghai, David? I don't remember. I remember if it was Shanghai or Beijing. I think it was Shanghai. And they in like $2.7 million in one day after the lockdown in China. So yes, we are foreseeing revenge shopping, Carlo.
And one question I would like to know about the spirituality. It's a really difficult time psychologically for many people, this, Paola. Do you think spirituality will be an important component of jewelry designs going forward?
Yes. One of our macro trends is holisticism. And by holisticism, there is this definitely very important sentiment by, the people on in life in general, being holistic / spiritual in everything we do, the way we are approaching life, the way we are eating, the way we are doing, trying to keep, strong physically. Yoga had a, great, success, is having great success. Everything that is very, spiritual, and again, not religious in this particular, something that is really keeping with the world together is very strong right now. And I think the best is yet to come in this direction, which is going to be the future of humanity. But because it's part of special value, special emotion is going to be very strong in jewelry, and we're going to show you how in holisticism in the next several months with Trend Vision.
There's a question from an anonymous attendee asking, is now a good time to start a jewelry making business with gold jewelry only? And I think what they're referring to is the very high price of gold. How is that going to affect business decisions in the jewelry sector? And do you think this could be an opportunity for silver jewelry, particularly high design silver jewelry, given that silver prices are still very accessible, whereas gold is so terribly expensive now?
Well, I think, and this is what's happening, is like, first of all, we have to think about the jewelry is not just about, we have to stop thinking jewelry about gold, sterling, materials, but rather like the intrinsic, it's not just the intrinsic value, and it's not just about commodity. And the concept of commodity is being discussed largely in previous webinars online, you know, pretty much everywhere in the world. If you have a good story, if you have a good product story, ideas, you know, you can also do gold jewelry. Why not? Gold only, why not? It depends what kind of jewelry you're doing. So there is no, I don't reply just based on, it's like, you know, it's like a diet. You can't just say, well, I only eat this, like, you know, it depends from people. And the same is for manufacturing, the same is for a designer. Regarding inexpensive, or let's call it more affordable material, David, definitely people, because it's going to be conscious about their spending, let's say more affordable material, mixed medium more and more, demi jewelry will definitely be in demand. Like Second World War, for instance, there was a big booming of fashion jewelry, especially the American firm, Signer, Trifari. Those are like collectible jewelry. They were created by them, and they are like collectors that they are still collecting pieces. They have an important value of jewelry that were created. Miriam Askel, you know, all these incredible designers that produced the most exquisite design pieces at that time, and maybe it will happen even now. So it's not going to just be based on only gold or sterling. Maybe it will be titanium. Maybe it will be carbon. Maybe it will be shells and gold and diamonds. So that's what's happening. Of course, if we're talking about large manufacturing, like I said, the large manufacturer will need to be very, very strategic on who's the target, the distribution, what kind of product, because they might be hit, you know, especially the lower end. So the commodity end will be more hit than the medium and the high.
If I could just follow that up very briefly with Marco, I mean, speaking to Italian gold jewelry exporters, Marco, do you have a general sense about what the impact of the very high gold price is right now for Italian gold jewelry exports?
Is well, we can say is that has been at least for the last 2 years that we have been experiencing the gold prices going up and up. I think what is actually affecting the export is unexpected shock going up and down. But you know, this kind of dynamic with the gold price going up has been already absorbed by the operations of many of the Italian producers. So I don't think it will be so much affecting the Italian export. Even although of course it can have an impact on the consumption in general worldwide, but Italian producers in general are very much used to deal with this kind of issue.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Our hour is now up, so I'm going to wrap it here. We had lots of questions, far more than I was able to handle in this last 25 minutes or so. So if you would like us to answer your questions, please do email them to info@jewelleryoutlook.com, and then we will send answers back to you. This webinar has been recorded, and you will be able to see it on the Jewellery Outlook YouTube account. So watch out for that if you'd like to see it again. I'd like to just quickly go over the Trend Vision schedule, that Paola had mentioned earlier. There are at least 3 more webinars planned in the coming weeks. The first one by Trend Vision is called What is Forecasting? And this will take place on Monday, May the 11th. The second one is the Jewellery Trend Book 2022, and that will take place on Monday, June the 8th. And I think there will be a product focus one later, which is tentatively scheduled for July the 6th. All of those details will be issued through Vicenza Oro website and social media, and Jewellery Outlook will also spread those messages out to the global trade as well. I'd just like to thank you all very much indeed for attending today. I can sense that we've had a great time, and Jewellery Outlook will be planning more webinars in the coming weeks to sort of help businesses through this difficult time. We hope you've been entertained as well as informed. So thank you very much indeed. Until next time.
Thank you very much, David, for having us, and everybody else. Thank you, Marco. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Paul and David.
Thank you. Thank you.